Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Andhina Qaddis Fithratana. Today I want to share my review of the book A Map of Home by Randa Jarrar. This book was published on September 2nd, 2008 and published by Other Press New York. This book has 304 pages. And for the table of contents, this book has 3 parts. This book explores the story of the life of a girl named Nidali, who was born to a Palestinian father and a Greek Egyptian mother. Her childhood in Kuwait, her teenage years in Egypt, where she and her family escaped the Iraq invasion in 1990s. And the last is her family took to Texas. She moved from Kuwait to Egypt and finally settles in the United States, reflecting her search for identity and a sense of home in an uncertain world. Through Nidali's point of view, the novel blends humor, honesty, and emotion in recounting her experiences as a young woman facing family dynamics, tradition, and environmental changes. The conflict between her family's multicultural background and her struggle for freedom and self-expression creates a moving and compelling narrative. And next is the story begins from Nidali's born day, and her parents were fighting against her name. I want to share and discuss my argument about the initial parts because it shows detail how all the events contribute the development of Nidali's perspective about identity. First, on page 2, tells the situation when Nidali was born and how Baba assumed that having a daughter is not hope. One of the sentences said, why had Baba assumed no hope that I was a boy? Because before his birth, his mother had 6 daughters whose births all went uncelebrated. He'd watch his sisters grow up and go away, each one more miserable than the last, and didn't want to have to be spectator to such misery ever again, to witness his own girls growing and going. In the overall context of this quote, it tells us that Baba did not know that Nidali was a girl and expected Nidali to be a boy, which I agree that parents can expect the gender of their child, but in other side, I disagree that Baba considered a girl is a sign of hopelessness for life and gave her daughter's name means struggle, which is for me isn't appropriate. And as mentioned by Pamungkas 2021, the family is the first education for children to determine to the optimization of personal development, self-adjustment, socialization skills, intelligence, creativity, morals, and increase their capacity to define the limits of goodness and perfection in the measure of humanity. This statement reinforces my argument and states that Nidali's self-discovery was a result of what she felt and received from her parents. Next, in second argument, I quoted from page 15. It still discusses how Baba was expecting a boy and Nidali was relieved when her mother gave birth to a little brother. I was glad Mama had a boy because I thought Baba would let me play and have fun now and be a girl. Just as I had this thought, Baba turned to me and said that since Mama would have to spend a lot of time taking care of the baby, I had to get my hair cut short. In the quote, in that quote, indirectly, she never felt like a girl. So when her younger brother was born, she was happy to finally be free from the shackles of Baba, who was obsessed with having a son. I kindly agree that the quote also challenges Orientalism because narratives about gender roles in certain societies are often part of Orientalist stereotypes. For example, women in the East are often portrayed as shackled by patriarchal tradition that govern how they should act or behave. In excerpt, the expectation that girls should sacrifice their fun and cut their hair short reflects stereotypes often so associated with patriarchal culture. However, not every Eastman did the same as Baba, but Adele 2023 said that on the other hand, Wahid or Baba, like many Palestinians of post-Nakba and post-1996 war, is traumatized, being unable to defy or even repel the attack on his homeland, which leads him to the feeling of powerlessness. This trauma is the reason that he wants Nidali to be a boy, or rather, a man to fight for the cause of Palestine. Wahid himself failed to return to Palestine, so his ultimate hope is to raise a child who would achieve what he could not. So that is the reason why Baba is obsessed with having a son. Next, on page 5, this quote depicts that Mama's person looks like a Latvian while she is in Egypt, Palestine. So the quote said, people would have assumed that Mama, who has kinky black hair, brown skin, dark green eyes, and wears a lot of gold, was a Latina, and that I, a cracker-looking girl, was her daughter from a union with a gringo, and that would have been that. In the context of Orientalism, in my opinion, this depiction of identity and interculturalism often involve the way the West sees and interprets Eastern cultures. This sentence, although not directly related to the East, shows how identity and intercultural relation can be viewed in a way that leads to stereotypes and misunderstanding similar to those of Orientalists. Nidali has so many identities that she struggles to find herself and experiences an identity crisis because she doesn't know which place to call home. As mentioned by Charlie 2021, stated that Nidali struggled to keep her cultural identity intact. And next, in the next argument, I quoted from page number 6. I knew from the beginning that home meant fighting, arguing, and embellishing, and that's why I love school. The sentence describes how Nidali feels that the dynamics in her home often involve arguments that may make the home environment unpleasant or maybe stressful. In my opinion, Nidali finds comfort and fulfillment at school, which could illustrate the difference between the home and school worlds. In the context of Orientalism, this could reflect how individuals from cultures that are considered different six places where they feel more accepted or more comfortable, which could reflect feelings of alienation or the search for identity in an environment that is considered foreign. Some as Algaberry 2018 to strengthening my argument said that as a female, Nidali is not only in search for home, she is also in the pursuit of her agency. Last but not least, on page 10, this quote, I noticed that all the dolls were split in half except me, even though I was split in half. I was Egyptian and Palestinian, I was Greek and American. My little blue passport, the one that looked nothing like Mama's medium green one or Baba's big brown one, said I was American. In my opinion, the other reason that Nidali wants to find herself is because she has many cultures in her life, and in Orientalism, there is often a stark contrast between West and East. In this sentence, the difference in the passport can illustrate the contrast between American identity and other identities associated with different nationalities. I agree that inevitably someone with multiple cultures will find it difficult to identify the right cultures to call home. According to Laila and Chaima 2023, strengthened the idea that as a diaspora person living between homes and identities, she finds her way home in the novel through a process of awareness. So that's all of my arguments. In this novel, Randa Jarrar brings to life stories of diaspora, family, love, and trauma, encapsulated in Nidali's physical and emotional journey. And in my opinion, the book is easy to read and has a lot of messages in it, so I would like to recommend this book to read. Although there are some shortcomings, but they do not decrease the quality of this book. This book still contains a lot of useful knowledge for all the readers, especially the issues discussed regarding diaspora, identity, trauma, religious stereotypes, and etc. And that's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.